All right, apparently Anthony Joshua has been on Jonathan Ross, the Jonathan Ross show, which I think airs on ITV. Now, I'm assuming, because I don't watch the Jonathan Ross show, I haven't even really watched TV. I'm assuming that this is going out this coming weekend, or it's maybe just happened. I wouldn't assume they'd be quoting articles today from something that happened last week. But Joshua was on the Jonathan Ross show. He's talked about his retirement. Yes, we are going to hear that. And now, obviously, not now, obviously. He's not announced his retirement now. But he's also talked about when he plans on retiring and also his next fight. So, Joshua, about a fortnight, maybe it was a bit longer than that, read about that time. He released an image on his Instagram story saying 258 they want you to fight. So X basically it was X, and he's like, I'm in. That implied to me that a fight was up and coming sooner rather than later. It's been revealed now it's not going to be till September. So I talked briefly about Joshua facing the winner of Hrgovic Dubois if in fact that does go ahead and it is for the IBF, the vacant IBF heavyweight title. I talked about the potential of Joshua facing the winner of that in September. It's now looking likely that is probably going to be the case if it's September time. Now, Joshua talked about not going into camp for another 2 months, so he's just ticking over now. And again, that's one thing I like about Anthony Joshua. He's not in training camp, but what is he doing? He's ticking over. He's not doing full-blown training, as in like he's not doing, proper training camp level training, but he's staying active, he's staying in shape. He's not just, going and, eating, drinking, and then coming into camp and having to spend the first few weeks losing the weight. He's going to come in pretty much ready to go and straight into boxing training. That's one of the things that I like to see from fighters because it gives you longevity and it means the camp is purely going to be based on you getting the best out of yourself from a boxing point of view, not being like, right, we've got 8 weeks, 3 weeks of losing weight, the other 4 weeks, the other 5 weeks of just basically boxing training. I like that, but we got to talk about retirement. So, Anthony Joshua, I'm going to quote him here. He said, I've always said 35. I'm 35 in October. I'm thinking another 2 years or so if my body holds out. I've set up certain businesses that I can transition into naturally, which don't rely on me being at the forefront. Yeah, he's I know he's a stakeholder with the zone. He's 258. He's got a lot of other things outside of boxing. So he will definitely be a busy guy whenever he retires. But yes, he doesn't necessarily need boxing. He could retire now, really. It's not like he's fighting for money. He doesn't need to fight really at all if he didn't want to. He's made enough from boxing and he's got those business interests. But you would imagine he still has stuff that he wants to do from a fighting sense, from a career point of view in boxing, and then go out. It's really crazy to think that Joshua's going to be 35 come October because it genuinely seems like only yesterday he made his pro debut. It seems like only yesterday he was fighting Charles Martin for the IBF title. In fact, actually, we're nearly at that. And I think it was April 9th, was it not? 2016. So, yeah, we're nearly at that anniversary of the Charles Martin fight. And 2016 was a weird year in boxing. It was a crap year in boxing. For those who were watching boxing, you'll know it was a crap year. There wasn't much happening in 2016. Well, there was fights happening, but they didn't really have there wasn't any real big fights. Amir Khan, Canelo, Kell Brook, Triple G, the likes of that. We didn't get the Fury fight. We didn't really get Joshua in big fights because he was just going to win the title, defend, and so on and so forth. It was 2017 really was where we got good stuff. But in 2016, I remember in certain fights where you kind of saw the heavyweights of the previous generation, the Klitschko generation. I remember when Ruslan Shagayev in Chechnya, he fought Lucas Brown. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy post that fight with Lucas Brown. But I remember, I can't remember the guy's name, but he used to commentate on Box Nations. Is it something Spellman or something like that, his name? Or Alex Steedman or something like that. He was commentating on that fight with Barry Jones. I remember watching that fight. I remember watching the replays of it. Or the highlights. It used to be on YouTube, the Box Nation version. And he made a comment during that the likes of Shagayev, the likes of Klitschko, those types, they would then be viewed as the old guard. And it kind of was like, oh yeah, because I watched fights during the Klitschko. It wasn't a good era, certainly not. And, you watch the likes of Shagayev, people like that. Freza Kendo was knocking around, not at that time, but, in 2014, thereabouts. And you're thinking, yeah, they are the old guard. And in a way, it's kind of like 8 years it flies by. Man, it's scary. It really is. But it flies by. And in 8 years now, you're kind of looking at Joshua, you're looking at Fury, you're looking at Wilder, Usyk, and you're like, God, they're the old guard. You know, in 2016, I was watching them thinking, oh, I'd love for, Wilder to fight Joshua to fight Klitschko, or Fury and Klitschko. I'd love to just, be gone, and these are the guys now who are on top. And it's sad in a way because we're kind of seeing the end. I don't imagine Usyk sticking around much longer. I don't imagine Fury sticking around much longer. Joshua was talking about calling it quits in 2 years, 2026, which is not that far away. It's really not. You don't miss 2 years flying. I mean, you really don't. I mean, I've already said 2016 does not seem like a long, and 8 years in the grand scheme of things is not really a long time in the grand scheme of things. But for it to go by just like that, it's crazy. And that's the difference between, I guess, one era to the next. Joshua, Wilder was a young champion at the time. Fury had just dethroned Klitschko a few months earlier. The heavyweight division was just, we were like, oh yeah, these are all the new guys. And now you do look at them as the old guard because they are on their way out. Not in a sense of they're finished, as in they're over the hill, but you just know, like, time waits for no man. The age is there, and you're like, they won't be around much longer. It really is crazy to think about it, really. And you look at the next generation, the Bakadir Jalalovs, who I rate very highly. I like Bakadir Jalilov, Jared Anderson, Moses Atauma. I would put Dubois in that kind of, he came around in 2017, but he was only a teenager. He's only, 25, 26 now. He's not old. So he's got plenty of time. Joseph Parker is another one. He's only 32. He's still able to fit in both eras because he's not that old. It's just crazy when you hear someone like Joshua, and he's the only one who's really talked openly about it. I get the impression with Usyk, he has one foot out the door. I get that impression, even though he's not saying it. I reckon with him, he's probably got one foot out the door. With Fury, he's such an erratic character, it's hard to tell. I would imagine he knows himself. Look at the way this Usyk whole thing has been handled. He knows himself probably that the end is coming sooner rather than later. And with Joshua, again, he's saying 37, he wants to bow out. So over the next 2 years, well, 2.5 years really, because it's 6 months till October, so 2.5 years. What can he do? He could potentially fight for a vacant title as soon as September. Could potentially have a chance to, do what he did the first time around and pick up titles that maybe are vacant from the winner of Undisputed if one or both decide to go their separate ways. So yeah, it's interesting for Joshua to be talking about it, and we do look at fighters and we think, oh yeah, there's plenty of time, and you realise, like, he's 35 years old, he's no spring chicken. It does seem like yesterday he only turned pro. It seems like only yesterday Tyson Fury was fighting Kevin Johnson and David Price. People were talking about him as being, what was it, Bellew called him, the heir to Klitschko's throne and stuff like that. It does genuinely seem like only yesterday when you look at those fights, because they're still on YouTube, you still find them. And I just always find it real interesting looking back at some of those old fights. I say old, not that old, but like the start of the kind of Price, Fury, Wilder and stuff like that. And you're like, oh yeah, who would have thought what would happen in so many fights time or so many years? It's crazy to look back at, really. But yeah, Joshua, a bit of a trip down memory lane there. What can I say? Getting a bit of nostalgia in there for everyone. But yeah, Joshua talking about retiring October 2026. Yeah, well, whoever your favorite fighter is, whether it's Fury, whether it's Usyk, Canelo, whether it's Bam Rodriguez, they're not going to go on forever. So enjoy them while you have them. I guess that's the kind of way we have to look at it. Enjoy it while you have it, and then we wait and see. We obviously are going to be keeping an eye on the likes of Jalilov, Richard Torres, Telma, who else? Anderson. I hope he's okay. I hope he can get himself on the straight and narrow. I know he's got a fight coming up in the next, maybe this weekend, is it actually? So yeah, we've them to look forward to, and yeah, we kind of look and we'll say, I wonder if he fought Joshua in 2 years, what would happen? Who knows what way the heavyweight division is going to look in 2 years? I mean, who knows what way it's going to look in a year? 6 months, much less 2 years. Let me know your thoughts on Anthony Joshua's comments in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Happy Friday to everyone. For now, I'll leave it there. Peace.